So, welcome back, everybody, for our 1 week hiatus that we had. Derek was moving down to Texas with his brother, and he had to get everything situated and settled in before we were able to get back to it. We wanted to do it last Sunday, or even last Tuesday, but he had family down there that was visiting, so he wanted to hang out with them. So we are finally back, getting into it. The Chasing Larger Sports Story podcast. And right off the bat, we've got a serious topic to discuss. We've already had all the news with the Deshaun Watson cases, the allegations that are out against him, and what he had to deal with. This, however, like we finally got the discipline. It's set in stone at 11 games, but there's another issue at hand here. And Derek, for me, I feel like this is far worse than the Deshaun Watson allegations. Yes, he had 24 women, but this one alone just takes the cake because punter Matt Araiza, former punter now for the Buffalo Bills, has been accused of gang raping a 17-year-old minor out in California with him and two of his friends. And my opinion, I think this is a far worse scenario because this actually had the R word involved with it, and it was with a little girl. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, obviously, like when you heard everything about it, what was going on, and obviously very disgusting to hear something like this happened to a girl for that matter. And you want to hope that this is not the case, because obviously the very disgusting situation. And I think we've heard, like, even if that particular act didn't happen, regardless of the fact, there is pretty much video proof at this point that Ariza did end up having sex with this girl even when she was not of legal age in the state of California. So nevertheless, he is still a criminal at this point, regardless of whether or not the allegation coming out against him is true or not. So, it made sense that, the Bills ended up cutting him. But I mean, let's not turn the blind eye to this with the Bills. The Bills should receive just as much flack for what's going on here as what Ariza should, because right now the Bills knew that there was something that happened with Matt, and they neglected to take him out until the allegations actually came out. They knew there was something that happened, and they neglected to do anything about it. So, I mean, maybe the NFL is going to have to crack down on the Buffalo Bills not doing anything, because reports are coming out that they knew that something happened. They may not have known exactly what went down, but they knew something illegal was going down, and they didn't do anything about it. So, maybe there's going to be a lawsuit against the Buffalo Bills owner and franchise as well for not reporting this when it actually happened. So, this seems to be a developing story, but nevertheless, good riddance to Matt. And I hope that, regardless of what happens, he doesn't end up punting ever again. I mean, he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL for this.
Yeah, and you could say my bias is speaking out, saying that he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL because, obviously being a Browns fan and having Deshaun Watson on my team, people could say the same thing. But like I said before, Watson's situation is far different because, his are complete and utter allegations with no physical or video proof at all. And it wasn't against, somebody that was at this point a minor. Like, yes, I understand his situation is serious and we get it, but it was nowhere near as bad as what this is. And it's just like you said, though, the Bills knew about this entire thing and were willing to keep him on the roster, but it was until public backlash and news broke about it is when they decided that they were going to do something. And that's
disgusting.
just what
It's disgusting.
It absolutely is disgusting. And anybody that has, daughters, sisters, anything like that, you always have that fear of something happening to them. And, you want to make sure that they are protected at all costs. And the fact that somebody could do this, it's just, disgusting. But nevertheless, they did the right thing releasing him. I hope that they do get fined and or sued because of the public knowledge that was going on with the Bills organization. And hopefully maybe they can lose a draft pick or their owner gets suspended like
I don't know. I don't know how you even go about that, but at the end of the day, yeah, something needs to happen for sure.
Right. All right, on to the next topic. Okay, we've got Aaron Donald becomes Negan for the
Anyone that doesn't understand that is a Walking Dead reference. Anyone that has never watched that show, but that used to be a show that Chase and I used to religiously watch. But yeah, anyway, continue.
So Aaron Donald becomes Negan. So basically, the leading up to the week of the final preseason game with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams, it was seen on video that Aaron Donald had dual wielding Bengals helmets and was hitting them up against players. I don't know if they got hit in the head or if they had hit the shoulder pads. Who knows? But regardless, he was swinging helmets, hitting players. And, there was big fights that broke out and a lot of backlash was going on. Now, honestly, this hits home to me because being a Browns fan, this kind of really pisses me off. For the fact is that, just because it's Aaron Donald, they're not really going to do anything about it. And, he's going to get away with it. And to me, it's just really, really stupid that, he's going to get away with this.
Yeah, I mean, you and I had that discussion for sure when it happened. And, it does sound like nothing's going to happen to Aaron Donald because, per the NFL rules, they're not going to get involved. They don't get involved when a fight breaks out in a practice. And that's what this was. Even though it was a joint practice, it's still a practice at the end of the day. And which is stupid because I think it said that the NFL can get involved, but they can choose not to get involved. And, if they have an out on not suspending a player, then they're probably not going to do it, especially when that player is, one of the most marketable guys on the whole platform. And then, I mean, of course, when you give the decision to the ball club on whether or not you want to suspend him, of course, they're not going to suspend Aaron Donald. And why is that? Well, if you just look at their first game, they're playing against the Buffalo Bills. They absolutely need Aaron Donald in that game. So, of course, nothing's going to happen to him, despite the fact that he had done the same exact thing that Myles Garrett did to Mason Rudolph a year prior to that, and ends up that Myles Garrett's going to get suspended for 6 games only because it happened in a game versus Aaron Donald ripping 2 players' helmets off and deciding to try to fight people with them just because it's in a practice. That means he's not going to get suspended. It's ridiculous. It's a double standard. It's stupid that just because it happened in a practice, that means it warrants no penalty by the NFL for the fact that happened. What if had happened if Aaron Donald ended up actually hitting somebody above the head, gave them a concussion, or potentially even worse? What would have actually happened? Did it really need to get to that point that you're telling people only when Aaron Donald would have thrown one of those helmets, gave someone either a concussion or given them permanent brain damage, only then would the NFL have done something about it, regardless if he had hurt someone or not? That's setting a terrible precedent. Again, it's another example of the NFL having double standards and not being consistent with punishment. I don't care if it was a practice. You do not get to run around grabbing other people's helmets and trying to hit people with them. You don't get to do that. And so at the end of the day, it's just another loophole that the NFL is going to go off of and people are just going to forget about. And it's a shame. It's a total shame.
Yeah, and me and you were talking over text, and I how I said that I feel like people just hate the Browns. They're out there and seriously want to see them fail, and they're targeting. You're like, no, it's because it was that practice. But here's how I think that it's basically Cleveland against the world here, Derek, is because heard people arguing on TikTok, on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media platform you want to argue on, even on TV, you've got these guys out there saying, well, what Miles did, he deserved to get suspended and everything. But when Aaron Donald does it, they're like, well, what did this player do? Oh, well, it's just a joint practice. It doesn't matter. Or like, oh, it's not like he was hurting anybody. He was just angry and everything. Like making excuses for him. But when it was Myles Garrett, they're like, let's burn him at the stake. Let's kick him out of the NFL. This shit shouldn't be tolerated. And, so on and so forth. So it's just
and
like,
you have stupid people like Ryan Clark who go on Twitter and try to defend Aaron Donald for saying that was okay. Like, I mean, I don't remember what he said that, I don't know, like what he said about when Myles Garrett did that to Mason Rudolph. Probably didn't feel great about it because Ryan Clark's ego of being a Steeler, a former Steeler, probably got in the way and said that this is something that should not be tolerated. But yet we'll say that it's part of football, what Aaron Donald did. Like, how stupid can you be? Like, how can you be that blind to say that one guy's thing was worse than the other? Like, seriously, how is that worse?
Yeah, like it's just it's amazing because, when one player does something, it's okay, or like it warrants their behavior to be justified. But when another player does it, it's wrong. It shouldn't be happening, and so on and so forth. And because he's Aaron Donald, because he's bringing money into the NFL, because he's famous for his accolades and winning Defensive Player of the Year like 2 years in a row, and blah blah blah, doing this and that. It warrants the behavior to be justified and okay when it shouldn't be, regardless. Except for like a famous quarterback, anybody else in the league, we would have been talking about how the NFL was probably going to get involved and deal out a suspension or something.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's stupid. He should be getting suspended at least 6 games for what he was doing. If they were going to give 6 games for Myles Garrett doing it, should be giving 6 games to Aaron Donald for the same exact reason.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, this also goes to show you how, they don't really care about Aaron Donald, because he didn't even ever get suspended for the guy that he beat up at the airport.
Yeah, he never he has had a lot of times where he has started fights and has, he has definitely been a problem person in the NFL for a long time. He has always had an attitude problem, and it's something, dude. And I'm telling you what, I mean, at some point, if he keeps doing this, he's gonna hurt somebody for real doing one of those, and people just act like as if it's normal, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, no, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I always bring, like, me and you, we're very passionate fans of our fan base and everything. You Colts, me Browns, but like, I always bring up the Browns constantly because, I do feel like there's a big target on their back constantly for everything. And, people are always rooting against us for some way or another. And instead of wanting us to succeed, they're always wanting to see us fail. So it's just like, I don't know. You're going to hold that double standard, hold it for everybody. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. Derek, you had put this in there. Are preseason games worth it for the starters? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about it, I mean, everybody kind of has a differing opinion on this, but there's a lot of people that will tell you that like the starters should not be playing in these games at all because, you see some of these injuries happening. We saw the Kayvon Thibodeau injury, and you saw how bad that could have turned out in the game today against for the Steelers and the Lions. TJ Watt and Deontay Johnson both ended up suffering knee injuries that, don't seem to be anything serious. But again, another situation where you get really scared for, your best players getting involved in something that's meaningless. You know, I mean, what do you think, Chase? Do you think that it's important for some of these starters to get a little bit of time, or do you think that the most of the starters should just not play at all?
I think it is important. I think that the starters should get like, 2 or 3 series, maybe even a quarter, I don't know. But like you can't go into the regular season with not having some sort of reps and everything because, you'll be rusty as hell. It'll be your first game action since being back and everything. Not to mention
Mhm.
like for new starters like Russell Wilson or somebody like that. Yeah, granted they've been in the NFL for so long, but being on a new team, like I think it's very important to get that valuable game reps, even if it's for a few plays for just one offensive or defensive series and everything. Regardless of what the situation may be, I feel like for some individuals, it is very important to get those reps as a starter. And then like you got some of those guys that are going out there with the ones that are making a case for like, okay, we'll keep you with the ones if you ball out, for these preseason games. So I think it is worth it, but I don't think it's worth playing them for a long period of time. So I think like one quarter max, one series minimum is what they should play.
Gotcha. Hey, I agree. You know, I think that the starters should definitely play a little bit. You know, you need to be able to make sure these guys stay on their toes. But at the end of the day, you know, it's going to be uh, a talk for every single season. Like how much do these guys actually need to play? And you know, it's keeps shifting towards the starters not playing much at all. So that's just going to continue to happen. But you wanted to talk about the NFC playoff predictions. Let's
Yes.
go ahead and do that.
Yes, I've been waiting on this. We know that it's the start of the season. We know that the playoffs haven't even begun to happen yet, and the talks about wow, that is insane.
What? Are you
I'm, wa-
looking at the top 100?
I am looking at the top 100. Last year, Patrick Mahomes was number one. They've got him at 8. Right
Yeah,
now.
I saw Kelsey was at 10. That's
Yep,
crazy that they dropped him that much. That's
and
crazy. We'll,
Ramsey's
we'll
at
talk about
9.
that. We'll talk about that shortly. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that shortly.
shortly. But no, like I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I want to get both of our thoughts on who out of the NFC we think is going to make it. Our AFC ones are coming tomorrow, and it's going to be difficult to figure out like who's going to go in and who's going to go out, but the NFC is wide open for any team to sneak in there because it is such weak of a conference compared to the AFC. So, Derek, let's start off with the division winners right off the bat. We'll go through each division in the NFC. We don't have to talk about seeding. We just got to talk about who we think is going to win each respective division and
Okay.
figure out who's going to be in. So, going with the NFC North, I've got the Vikings winning that.
NFC North. I still have the Green Bay Packers winning that division. It's still Aaron Rodgers. Again, doesn't have his best weapon, but they still have a complete running game. They still have Aaron Rodgers, who's a better quarterback. Still think that their coach is a better coach, and their defense at this moment is still a slight bit better than the Vikings. So at the end of the day, I am still sticking with the Green Bay Packers to pull out of the division.
See, I was torn. I was extremely, extremely torn between taking the Packers and the Vikings. Just because Rodgers is back-to-back MVPs. He's shown it time and time again that he can win with just very little weapons. But not only that, Romeo Dobbs and his connection has been uncanny in preseason so far. And yeah, they did upgrade their defense with getting Quay Walker and Wyatt, whatever his name is. I can't remember his name in the draft, but yeah, they got those two guys on their defensive side of the ball. But I think that the Vikings were just a few plays shy of winning quite a few more games last year. And, I think that now having an offensive minded head coach in there is going to get the best out of Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins. And not to mention that team is too talented for the Vikings not to have the success. But it was very close. I was very torn. I wanted to choose the Packers, but I'm going to ultimately go with the Vikings because I feel like with the better coaching staff around them and a different offensive mind in there, I feel like it's going to propel them to be in the top of that division. We'll move on to the NFC West. Okay. Now, who do you have out of the NFC West going?
Let's see, NFC West. So that would be the Cardinals. You have the
Rams, Niners, and
Rams,
Seahawks.
Niners, and Seahawks. Okay. Um, let's see. So we're talking just division winner here, right?
Division winner. Yep.
Okay. So then I'm still going with the Rams. Rams realistically didn't lose anybody. You know, they're still going to be a 11, 12, maybe even 13 win team. There's going to be no question they're the best team in the NFC West right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I am also agreeing and going with the Rams just because, you know, they upgraded and got Allen Robinson. They got Bobby Wagner, even though he's reaching the back half of his career and everything. You know, they still got a lot of key pieces that they brought in. Not to mention they've still got Odell on their radar and trying to go get him to bring back. And I think that, you know, with everybody else in the division, the Seahawks are in rebuild mode. They ain't gonna win with Geno Smith or Drew Lock. The freaking Cardinals are gonna be without D Hop for the first 6 games of the season. It's gonna be Marquise Hollywood Brown and Rondell Moore that are getting the targets and everything. And I think that, you know, with the loss of Chandler Jones on the defensive side of the ball and stuff like that, I feel like the Cardinals are going to take a down year. And not to mention, we don't know what Trey Lance has got. So I'm going with the Rams to win that division. Okay. So the NFC South, I'm going to go with the Bucks. Self-explanatory. You know, yeah, I think we can both agree.
I don't think there's anyone that disagrees with that at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And the Saints have a good shot at it, but I mean, it's still Tom Brady. It's still the Bucks. They got a great defense. They got the number one. They got a really good quarterback, and they got some offensive weapons. Even with that offensive line struggling right now, they're still ready.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'd say the Saints too if, you know, Sean Payton was the head coach, because talking about a guy who coached a Saints team to win 9 games with 4 different starting quarterbacks. So, you know, and with a much upgraded roster with Olave, Michael Thomas, Tyrann Mathieu, and Jarvis Landry, if Peyton was there, I'd say that Saints have a shot of winning the division, but no doubt about it, it's the Bucks. And finally, going to the NFC East or NFC least, I'm actually gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this division, not the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, they've not only built their team through the draft, they've also acquired some fantastic players in free agency. I mean, you just added A.J. Brown, who realistically is a top 15 wide receiver in this league, and you're adding weapons to Jalen Hurts' repertoire. I mean, and obviously Nick Sirianni, who I think is turning into a fantastic coach who's adapting into the Philadelphia lifestyle now. Their defense is going to be really good this year. I mean, Jordan Davis,
Darius Slay,
Quay Walker.
Quay Walker went to the Packers.
Oh, he did go to the Packers. Okay.
They got Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, I messed up. I was thinking Georgia guys, but yeah, Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis and bringing all those guys in, and obviously Darius Slay being there is going to be legit. I mean, they really don't have a weakness right now. I mean, the only thing that we're questioning is how good is Jalen Hurts, right? And I think everyone thinks that Jalen Hurts is okay right now. I mean, he's definitely got the talent to be good, but we're wondering, can he become great now that you've added some weapons like an A.J. Brown to this roster that already had some talent on it, right? So, you know, they got some insanely fast receivers. You got Dallas Goedert on there, who's still a really decent tight end. You got Miles Sanders, who definitely is a fringe top 15 running back. And I think that, and the offensive line's been better built around him now. So I think this is the year. Like, Jalen Hurts is going to show people if he has it or not. And I think that they're definitely the more well-built team to win it all for this. So I definitely would agree that they're going to win the division.
Yeah. And I would say that without some of the weapons that the Cowboys have, having Tyron Smith out for a while, Zeke not being the guy that he used to be, it's going to be all on Dak's shoulders. And I think that, you know, it's going to be too much for him to handle, because when you look at it, Dak cannot wholeheartedly support that team by himself. Like, no matter how much he tries to be Superman, he can't do it. And I think that, until you can finally sit there and say that Tony Pollard is the better back to give you a better chance of winning, and they can find the good key offensive lineman, I think that they're not going to win. And I think that with the upgrades that the Eagles made, I think the only few weaknesses that they got is running back. They could use a better one, corner opposite of Slay, and then probably safety. And I could sit there and say maybe another offensive lineman, but they got Cam Jurgens, the center, to back up Jason Kelsey for when he's getting ready to leave. Andre Dillard is stepping into his own and making a name for himself and starting to become a little bit better. And it all ultimately depends on what Jalen Hurts can do. And now that he's got all these weapons, Goddard, Brown, Smith, we'll have to wait and see what he can do. But wholeheartedly, I think that the ones that's going to win the division is the Eagles.
Yep, I agree. Well, that was all the division winners. Now we have to pick the next 3 for who's going to make it.
Now, the wild card. Okay, we could very much disagree on this, but who do you have at the 5 seed? Well, it doesn't matter the seeding.
It don't matter the seed. First, I'll just say
wild card.
When it comes to the NFC South, I think the Saints are going to get in. I don't. Oh, what?
Oh my gosh. It's Adams. Okay. I thought they had Aaron Jones at number 7 on the
so Adams is 7 now?
Huh?
Devontae Adams is 7?
Yeah.
Who was number 9?
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey? Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Well, let me think here. So, the Saints, I think, are going to make it. I think overall, as a team, they're well built, and
yes,
even with
Jameis Winston, Dennis Allen,
even Jameis Winston, who is obviously not Drew Brees, they still have Kamara. They still have a good offensive line. They have some great weapons. Michael Thomas is coming back, so you have Olave and Michael Thomas, the 2 wide receivers from Ohio State that are going to light it up, and that defense is still obviously good. So I have them in there.
With the addition of Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, with the addition of Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry. I forgot to mention that as well. Okay, so NFC East, I think Dallas makes it in. Even though I don't like them, I do think that they will, just because they're going to win like 9 or 10 games somehow and make it. And for the other team,
it's tough. It's very tough.
I'll throw a wild card out here. This one's a wild card for the wild card, okay? I'm going the Arizona Cardinals. This year. I think if DeAndre Hopkins did not get hurt last year, I think we would have been having a different story of how Kyler Murray pretty much just fell off the map last year. But I think this year, the Cardinals are going to have a different understanding. I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to win 10, 11 games and be able to make it in with this, because, winning 10 games is going to get you into the playoffs for this, for the NFC. Getting 10 wins in the AFC may make it a little bit more difficult, but in the NFC, 10 wins is going to get you in. So
9 might even get you in. 9 might get you in.
9 might even get you in. You're absolutely right. Yep, I agree. Those are my 3. What about you?
Yeah, the first year that they implemented this, the Bears made it in with an 8-8 record. So, it's very possible. But so those were your wild cards. So I'm gonna go a completely different direction for the other 2. But for the first one, I do agree with you. I think that the Saints will make it in as a wild card team because that roster is too talented.
Can I guess who the other 2 are for you?
Huh?
Can I guess who the other 2 are for you?
Go ahead.
The Vikings.
No, because I had them at the division winners.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so Green Bay is going to be the one guess, and then the 49ers is going to be my other guess.
No.
Okay, all right, I want to hear this.
So So yeah, the Saints have too good of a roster not to make it in with all the additions that they've had and everything that or all that they've drafted. But it all depends on Dennis Allen. Like I said, Sean Payton was the glue that held that team together and won 9 games with 4 different starting quarterbacks. 4. And the fact that he did that, just amazing. And I think that if he can be like if he was there, I would say that they could probably win the division. But with Dennis Allen, it's a big question mark. Now, for the next team, the Green Bay Packers, again, you've got Aaron Rodgers, a 2-time MVP, back to back, a guy that you can't sleep on. And like I said, it was extremely tough to not make that or have them as division winners. But this is what separates people that think that they know football or like want to talk about it and be analysts. You got to be able to debate your arguments and bring out solid reasons why. And I think that with losing Devontae Adams, getting rookie guys in there like Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and having Lazard on there, like I think that it took Adams 3 years to be the kind of consistent weapon that Rodgers wanted and turned out to be. And Romeo Dobbs looks like it's going to be that next big weapon. And forget Christian Watson. It looks like it's going to be Romeo Dobbs. So the Packers are going to be the next team. And finally, the last team that I am going to choose, the Carolina Panthers.
What the heck? Oh, I should have guessed that. I should have guessed that knowing your love for Baker Mayfield. Why did I not think of that? Why did I not think of that?
Now, it's not just because of my love for Baker Mayfield. It's after seeing him in preseason, and yes, I understand it is preseason. I get that. But looking at how he's playing, that shoulder looks like it's better than ever. He's gone through his reads. He even has a highlight of the best touchdown thrown in the preseason right now, jamming it through 2 Bills defenders and having his guy catch it on his fingertips. Now, do I believe it's going to be a rough start for him? I think he's going to lose week 1, bounce back and win like 2 in a row, and then probably hit like a streak where he like loses 2 or 3 in a row and then like finally take off after that, getting accustomed to his new team. But having guys like DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, his favorite target in Rashard Higgins, and then also having Robbie Anderson there as well, that's going to be a key component. The only thing I can see them screwing up with Baker is that offensive line, because it's nowhere near what it was when he was in Cleveland. That was probably one of the better offensive lines that he would be playing with. But that defense for Carolina is underrated. The offense has a lot of good weapons. Great running back if he can stay healthy. And it all depends on how well Matt Rule can coach. And to be real honest, like the Panthers, all they needed was a quarterback, and Baker's that guy that's going to take them over to the edge. I think that they slip in at that 7th seed, but I think they definitely make the playoffs.
Yep, I can understand it. It's all if the offense keeps going on all cylinders like it is.
Yeah, no question about it. But like, I think that Baker's that key missing piece that was going to put the Panthers over the top, and that's the reason why I chose the Carolina Panthers, because that roster's built and it's good. They just needed a quarterback, and I think that Baker is it. So,
yeah.
Now the moment we've been waiting for. Derek and I have been following this pretty closely, everybody. We are now going on to number 6 in the NFL Top 100. Last time we were on, we discussed a few players in the top 100. We're obviously not going to go through, or we're not going to talk about everybody, but we will go through and just let you know who the top, or starting at 21. 21 was Joe Burrow. 20 was J.C. Jackson. 19 was Deebo Samuel. 18 Shaquille Leonard. I think that's a little low for him. I think he should have been higher. Justin Jefferson at 17. Micah Parsons at 16. Tyreek Hill at 15. Trent Williams 14. Josh Allen, the quarterback, at 13. Derrick Henry at 12. Myles Garrett, disrespectful, at number 11. Travis Kelce at 10. Jalen Ramsey at 9. Patrick Mahomes at 8. And Devontae Adams at 7.
7. Yeah, we haven't seen 6 yet, have we?
Not yet. They are
Okay.
getting ready to
So
do it.
there's
So
Yeah, so that means there's Brady, TJ Watt, JT, um gosh, who else am I missing here? Aaron Rodgers
Aaron
and
Donald,
Aaron Donald, and I can't remember. I'm missing somebody. I'm missing
Matthew
somebody.
Stafford.
What's up?
Matthew Stafford. Wait, no, he was already
No,
on the list.
Stafford's
Earlier.
already been put there, I think.
Yeah, he was earlier.
Here's the thing. So, like going into the 20 through 11 here. Okay. So, first things first, Shaquille Leonard should not be behind Micah Parsons. That's
No,
a
he
total
shouldn't.
travesty. That's total bullshit. The fact that a rookie of all things who had 13 sacks versus a guy who had 12 turnovers, and that is not disputed. You cannot make a case that a guy who had 13 sacks as a linebacker makes the same case as a guy who had, in total, when you count up everything that he accounted for, 15 turnovers in total. Shaquille Leonard should not be. I don't even care that he's at 18, but the fact that Micah Parsons is ahead of him is a total freaking tragedy. Micah Parsons should not be in the top 20. He should be in the top 40, but there's no reason he should be in the top 20, especially ahead of Shaquille Leonard. And again, it's another disrespectful take. And so on top of it, going into the rest of this, Trent Williams, too low. He should be in the top 10. Trent Williams is a literal beast. He should be in the top 10 because Trent Williams, there may not be a more dominant offensive lineman in the history of the NFL than Trent Williams is right now. And Williams is a freaking wrecking ball, and he should be in the top 10. He should be number 10. So I don't like that he's at 14. I love that Derrick Henry's at 12 because that means Jonathan Taylor is going to be ahead of him. So at least everybody got that right. And then I agree with you. Myles Garrett should be at like 9 or 8.
He should be at like 5 or 6.
And TJ Watt should be at like 9. I don't like the fact that TJ Watt's going to be in the top 6. Again, I agree with you. The Myles Garrett thing, Myles Garrett's a better player, but when you look at, of course, the players are just saying stats. Look at TJ Watt. Look at TJ Watt.
I know these are the same people that put Trevon Diggs at 23.
That's all it's about. It's not the fact that they truly think Myles Garrett's a worse player. It's just because players just don't care. They just look at stats. So
yeah, that's why they put Trevon Diggs at 23 over Stephon Diggs and over guys like Lattimore and Kenny Moore and Ward and things like that.
But yeah, I mean, JC at 20, I like. Debo at 19, I like. Justin Jefferson at 17, I like. Tyreek at 15, I like. Josh
Allen at 13 is a little disrespectful.
I don't know about that. I know Josh. I mean, if Josh Allen made it to Super Bowls, then had made it to a Super Bowl by now, then yes, we would have an argument. But he still hasn't made it.
But like that wasn't his fault with the freaking, you know.
I understand that. I understand. But at the end of the day, I could have easily put him over Derrick Henry. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just what it is. I don't think it's too disrespectful.
I think he deserves that 10 spot. I think that you could bump Kelsey up to 9 and put Ramsey at, or you could put Ramsey at 11, put Josh Allen at 10, and Kelsey at 9.
I think that I just honestly think that honestly, when it comes to and you know we mentioned Aaron Donald in the top 5. For the top 10 positions, it should always be who is number 1 at each position. That's how it should be for the top 10. Honestly, when we're talking top 10 players in the NFL, you should always go with who is there. And then I understand that usually means somebody's going to get left out because there's 11 different positions. But again, best quarterback should get in. Best running back should get in. Best receiver should get in. Best tight end, best offensive lineman, best defensive lineman, best linebacker, best corner. and then you can, and then that's 8, right? That's 8. And then you should be, and then at that point, the rest of it should be freedom to say whatever the heck you want. So the fact that Trent Williams, who is the best offensive lineman in the NFL, is not in the top 10 is a tragedy. The fact that Myles Garrett is not in the top, well, then again, there's Aaron Donald. So you have that point. But then again, Myles Garrett could be at 9 or 10. So that makes sense there. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of it plays out, because I mean, I'm gonna love seeing who's gonna be in the top 5. I hope Jonathan Taylor's in there.
I think we are getting number 6 right now. Let me verify if it's the actual guy that they're talking about before I say who it is, but because they just showed 2 different people.
Yep. I think I've seen the Colts fan base saying he's not in the top 5. I think they have him at 6.
Well, let me verify it here, because they're showing 2 different players. So, this is happening live, so we'll update you momentarily. TJ Watt
at
number 6.
Wow, that's awesome. Love it.
Swap him and Myles Garrett, and I'll be happy.
So that means Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, and Tom Brady are the last 5 players. So my guess is, okay, so we won't stay live for this whole thing, because obviously it's going to go on for another 2 fucking hours. But nevertheless, let's do a quick prediction here, Chase, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, so top 5 in order from 5 to 1. Who do you think it's going to be? I think it's going to be, you go first.
I think it'll be Aaron Rodgers at 5. Or sorry, no, not Aaron Rodgers at 5. I think it's going to be JT at 5.
Okay.
Because knowing the players and the way that they're ranking everything right now, it'll be JT at 5. I can almost guarantee it. I think that they'll have Cooper Kupp at 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Brady at 3.
Brady at 3. Donald at 2.
Rodgers at 2.
I think Donald at 2 and Rodgers at 1.
Wow. Okay, so I think Rodgers at 2 and Donald at 1. That's just me.
Maybe they might put Donald at 1 because, he was the guy.
Yeah, he was in the top, so.
Well, he was an impactful guy in the Super Bowl and made that,
he was impactful the whole way. So.
Yeah. Right now it's 10 through 6. So from 10 p.m. to 11 is when they're going to name 5 through
final
1.
5 guys, yeah.
Yeah, they'll name within the next hour. So just make sure that I'll when I'm on with Cod, I'll keep this on in the background.
Yeah, I'll keep it on as well. So
and figure out who the top 5 are. But I swear, if JT is not in the top 5, I will lose my shit.
All right, well, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a little bit shorter than normal, but it was okay. It was good. We got some more going on, and hopefully we'll be back again tomorrow evening in order to do it as well. So we'll talk about some more stuff, but we'll also have our reactions to the top 5 players as well. So hope everybody had a good time. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Have a good rest of your day.